We are at Kraków City Hall. I'm talking to Rafał Kulczycki, Head of City Development. Hi, Rafał.
Hi.
Good morning. What is it really that your office is in charge of?
City Development Department is in charge of strategic planning, revitalization, investor support, entrepreneurship support, and let's say communication with the inhabitants of Kraków.
And how big is the team? It sounds enough to keep the whole army busy.
It's 43 persons, but I think that it's quite enough.
How long have you worked at the city?
It's about 16 years.
16 years?
Yes.
And you started as?
I started in the Investor Support Center, which was really not Investor Support Center, but it was a department of economic promotion, and I passed through all steps of personal career, from the simple officer to the director of the department.
So you know the ropes?
Yes, I know the ropes.
Rafał, there's been quite a development in this city over the last decade. There is one industry which has grown to be now, in fact, number one in Europe, according to different surveys. I'm talking about the business services and technology services in Kraków. The recent survey says there are over 60,000 employees in this sector alone. Do you think it's good or bad for Kraków?
Definitely good.
Why?
I think that there is no doubt that the development of the sector of business and technology services in Kraków during last year is something amazing and incomparable with any cities in, I could say, in Europe. Like you said, we are the first localization in Europe. It is not only because such a big amount of new jobs are creating, but it is also taxation. It is also a brand of Kraków, economic brand, as a European center of business and technology services. It is also a possibility for the city to create, like we said in our new strategy, to create the economy, the new economy, which is based on science and knowledge. Because, as I know, also from cooperation between Aspire and the City Hall, that the level of business services which are already existed in Kraków are much more higher than in a previous time. So it is also an additional profit for the city that we are now considered as a business and technology services, not only a business services, like it was, let's say, 18 years ago when we started with business services in Kraków.
If I remember correctly, back in 2010 there were roughly 16,000 employees in this industry.
Yeah.
Now it's over 60,000, which
it's
roughly 10,000 every year.
Yeah. It's something amazing, and it's also last month I was in London in a meeting with British business, and during this meeting I heard that one of businessmen asked why Kraków. And the answer was, for me, very nice. The answer was not coming from me, because it was a question which was asked to the moderator of the conference. Because we could do business in Kraków on the same level and in the same circumstances like we are used to do the business at home.
You've mentioned London. Do you think Brexit will have a positive or negative impact on the industry in Kraków?
Of course, we know that one British company already vanished from the business services company, vanished already from the Polish market. But I think that it is both. It could be a chance for Kraków, but also it could be a danger because sometimes it could happen like this, that when the headquarters of financial, especially companies, are moved, maybe as a consequence of Brexit, from London City to, for instance, Frankfurt, it also could change a point of view of these financial companies. But I think that now we have too little informations to say what will be in the future, what will be the consequences of the Brexit to the city.
Right. How about this aspect of specialization, as we said, 60,000 people now? In the wishful thinking dream land, what would you like the next steps to be for Kraków? Is there any particular industry that the city would especially like to attract?
I think that especially we are interested in R&D, so business technology services. And I think that it will be a topic for Kraków in the next years. But of course it doesn't mean that we are not interested in attracting also business services, because I'm completely sure that if we are not make an effort to promote Krakow's brand as the best localization for the business and technology services, in this moment, in a couple years perspective, we will have a lot of cities in different countries in Europe which will be, which already started in the race to be the best. In Kraków, we have the best environment to create such a big development of the sector, because we have many universities, very well universities with very creative and young population of people. We have a lot of place where we could create a business space. I don't know any city in Poland which has such a big development of the office spaces. Of course, it is in connection with the development of the number of jobs in a sector.
It's actually much higher than Warsaw, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the answers for this question is that sometimes in Kraków the office space is much more expensive, not much more, but more expensive than in Warsaw. And even in this case, the companies are coming to Kraków. So maybe it is human capital, enough and good quality office space, and creativeness of the people.
Interestingly enough, more and more foreign students also come to study in Kraków. There are as many as 4 international schools, which means that executives from all over the world come to Kraków to stay here also as so-called expats with their families and their kids studying at those schools, right? The other day, you remember we had this press conference at the City Hall in February with a company from Hong Kong, right? So it's interesting that the brand of the city can now attract investors from places which are considered to be exotic by some. Why is that? How do you think?
Because I think that investigation in Krakow is an investigation in prestige. I think so.
Fair enough. Speaking of that, is Kraków a good, great, or a terrible city to live in?
I think that it is the most difficult question because looking at the...
Hopefully it's not terrible to live.
Okay, but looking at the people who are not me, because I'm working for the City Hall, but looking for the people who are answering this question, it usually the answer is that Krakow has a very good atmosphere. It's an excellent place to live and work, and many persons would like to work here. Also, the CEO of the companies which are not established their business in Krakow, they buy apartments in Krakow because the city is such attractive. But we also couldn't close eyes for problems, which is, for instance, air pollution, and I think that still system of transportation. Of course, we have one of the best public transport in Poland, but still it could be much more better, especially in a case of air pollution, because it is a problem, air pollution, which could be considered from some people as a danger and a problem if they will have to make a decision where I would like to live and work. But I would like to say that City Hall really are making now an extensive effort to fight with this problem. And really, there are a lot of cities in the world which already solved this problem. So I'm completely sure that Krakow also will solve this problem.
Speaking of hopes and wishes for the future, is there anything you would like this industry to do for the city as a whole? I think, what would be the next steps for the future in this cooperation? How do you think?
I think that we should together promote themselves, and we should make much more effort together to create this brand of Kraków as a stable brand, and I think that it will be very good moment during the local government Congress, which will took place in Krakow in the end of the March next year, and when we will be together organizing a conference which will show how important for the city and how important for the development of this environment, which we commonly say it is city of Krakow, is the branch of business and technology services. I hope that the companies which are the members of Aspire Association would like also to be the ambassadors of the city, like it was happened until today. But I think that we could make together a bigger effort in promotion.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that is already happening in the sense that many of those companies publish newsletters with great photos from Kraków and a lot of interesting statistics. Rafał, are you an optimist or a pessimist?
Yeah, definitely optimist.
Is Kraków in a way pessimistic in the sense that 10 years ago we had gossip that this industry is already saturated, there aren't enough graduates to fill it in. Somehow Kraków has been thinking that only students from Kraków work in this industry. No. So would you say that this industry is now saturated and in a year or so it will start moving east?
Definitely.
There is this stereotype, right?
Okay, there are a lot of histories like this. But usually when somebody asks me about it, my answer is like this. Business and technology services sector in Kraków has more than 18 years. And the only one company vanished from the city during this time. But the reason was Brexit, not the situation in the city. There is no any forecasts which could say that during next couple years it will happen something dangerous. I am completely sure that if we, and I already mentioned it, if we made a common effort to create a stable brand of the city, and we will give enough support, it means the city hall, enough support for the investors who are looking to create here their business, it won't happen. Of course, it is dangerous that the global tendencies will be for us.
And paradoxically, during the global crisis, the industry in Kraków started growing. Really.
Yeah, but I think that, let's say, the Ukraine, which was mentioned, for instance, 10 years ago, like a place where could be where companies from Kraków could run away.
One of the many directions.
Yeah. Romania, I don't think that Romanian cities will be prepared during next 10 years.
But it's no longer about just cost, is it?
Yes, of course, it's not.
It's
no longer about. It's not longer about costs, but of course, still it's important.
Of course.
But I think that for us, also very important thing is to, for instance, to convince the universities to create the courses which will be courses which could help the companies to find a high specialized person. I'm completely sure it's not only Kraków, it's a metropolitan area, it's also a Silesian. In Kraków already we have a lot of people who came from Gdańsk, Poznań, and I think that it is a combination of many things. It's attractiveness of business in the city, attractiveness of life conditions in the city, attractiveness of the city itself.
Plus, there is a very strong community.
Yes, and
so-called center heads, people
yes.
who have run those centers for over a decade, and they share a lot of experience, which makes it easier for new investors.
Of course, and I think that one of the best practices we have together is to work together with convincing the new investors to came here. It's something which is I think the best and priceless.
A perfect note to close the interview. Rafał Kulczycki, Head of City Development, thank you for the interview.
Thanks a lot.